construct it with works. So when he thinks of what someone is worthy of, there's a difference between what you're worthy of and what you earn as being sovereign over your own life. When God thinks of what people are worthy of, he thinks of where they come from. And they think of how they come from him.
Right.
And so if they come from him, then they're worthy of life.
Yeah.
That's how he thinks of it. Now, if we're thinking with a work-stained conscience, the knowledge of good and evil, we're going to judge what somebody's worthy of by what they do. And we live with that system in this world, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, how many times they're getting what they deserve?
Yeah.
Honestly, we've all said that.
Sure.
Listen, I've been pastoring a church for a long time, and I love people, and I love my enemy, and I've come a long way. But sometimes you find yourself thinking that they're getting what they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
God don't ever think like that. See, God doesn't think like that. It says, your ways are not my ways. So there's a system in the world that we tend to think by that God don't think by. And then we judge things about God from the system in the world. And we get it twisted like that. Right? So what we could say is that the wages of sin is death. If someone refuses eternal life as a gift, they've earned for themselves death. Meaning they wrote themselves a check for death. Right? God come and said, you're not worthy of death, you're worthy of life. You're not worthy of returning to the dust of ground, you're worthy of being glorified with me. Right? But if you want to write yourself a check and pay yourself with death, you judge yourself unworthy of eternal life. Which is what Paul said when he was talking to the Jews. And he was in the synagogues. And he was preaching the resurrection. He said, seeing how you all judge yourselves unworthy of eternal life, I'll go to the Gentiles. Right? And so people will judge themselves. Right? And so it's important to make the dichotomy. And so many times when we're speaking from the mind of God, the mind in the world can't comprehend it.
That's right.
So like when you go talking like that,
Right.
the religious mind cannot comprehend that. They'll get it all twisted up because you're busy thinking like God, where it says God didn't impute our sin to us, meaning God not willing to let us die because he saw that we were his children, and as his children we were worthy of eternal life. Not willing to let us die. But you come talking God language free from factoring in works, and people won't understand that. Right? And so if you want to say by our works, we paid ourselves with death. Not you and me individually,
Right.
saying Adam, mankind.
Right.
We wrote ourselves a check and paid ourselves with death. Right?
Yeah.
And so based on what our works can give us, man trusted in their works, and then their works gave them death. So based on what our works will give us, and based on what we trusted in, you could say we deserve death. But based on where we come from, and the value that's in us, inherently, because we come from God, based on the fact that we're a treasure, we didn't deserve that. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm only telling you that so you could see the complication for people you're talking to when you're busy thinking like a son. So when you're busy already thinking like a son of the Most High God, and you're busy seeing what God really thinks in you, this idea of deserving, it doesn't make no sense because you're busy thinking like the prodigal son. Right? He come home thinking he deserved to be a servant. Right? Well, if you look at his works, you could say he deserved to be a servant.
Yeah. Right.
But what did the Father? The Father didn't judge him by his works.
Right.
The Father didn't judge him by what he did. The Father said, he comes from me. He's deserving of the best robe and the ring. Right?
Yes.
Right? That didn't make no sense to the older brother who was busy thinking with works.
That's right.
What do you mean? I've been slaving all this time and you wouldn't even give me a goat.
Yeah.
You see how it doesn't make any sense?
Yeah.
And so I only tell you that so you can understand, because I've run into the same thing. I think I preached what was the mess? The mercy of God. I talked about the mercy of God. Ain't God not giving us what we deserve?
Mm-hmm.
That's not mercy, right? That actually strips the power of mercy. Now, when I preach that message, man, that really messed people up.
Yes, it
Not
did.
in our church, but outside. People are like, what are you talking about? Right? Because we're so filled with, we deserve punishment. And then without saying it, we're thinking God's the one who gives it to us. But mercy is not God not giving us what we deserve. Mercy is God's heart being so filled with compassion for us while we're suffering that he come and killed the thing that was causing us suffering.
Yes.
That's mercy.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
It's not him not giving us what we deserve, as if he was the one that was giving us the death to begin with.
That's right. Exactly.
That's not mercy,
Exactly.
man.
Right? Exactly.